They're usually known for this. But now they're known for this. Hi everyone and welcome to Silver Lining. I'm Rob Simmelcare in New York. This past January, Vin Lozano's co-owner, John Corcoran, had a thought. What if he could combine his love of wine with his love for baseball to benefit charities across the country? Well, through the help of Major League Baseball and Charity Hop, which is a baseball fundraising charity, John Corcoran's vision has become a reality. In March 2007, Charity Wines was established. Since then, Charity Wines has launched 3 different kinds of wine featuring Boston Red Sox players. Manny Ramirez, his wine is called Manny Being Merlot, Curt Schilling's Schilling Chardonnay, and Tim Wakefield's Caberknuckle. A portion of these sales will benefit the charities of the players' choices. And to talk about this very cool project, we're joined by John Corcoran and Brett Rudy right here in New York. And from Chicago, Andy Graff. Let me start with you, John. I understand this whole project started with an email.
Yes, back in January, my business partner Andy and I had been discussing possibly doing, charity wines for different players, different ideas that we had. We've been kicking around for about a year, and I had sent an email to Brett Rudy, who's here next to me, and sort of just to feel everything out and see how what the response would be. And the response was just incredible. I thought Brett was gonna, I thought it was going to explode with the excitement from the emails that I got back and the phone calls. We ended up meeting, I believe, the next day.
Yeah. So, Brett, I mean, these things are not easy to put together when you're dealing with Major League Baseball, players, obviously the wine, the distribution. How'd you put all this together?
Well, we had been working with Curt Schilling on another initiative, another fundraiser in Boston called 100 Innings of Baseball for about 3 straight years, where we had raised about $300,000 for his charity in the past 3 years. So we had a relationship with him. So we started by putting together a proposal and sent it off to him to see if he would be interested in participating in the wine. And simultaneously, we just started putting proposals together for all the players on the Red Sox, coming up with as many wine names as we could possibly come up with to see if we could get them excited about the project.
Yep.
And it was challenging at first because the questions that they asked was, well, how many bottles of wine can you guarantee to sell? So how much money can you guarantee that would be raised for the charity? What other players do you have committed? And at the beginning, we couldn't answer any of those questions because there were no guarantees and there were no other players on board.
Right.
But once the first players started signing up, they all started becoming interested, and we were able to land Manny Ramirez and Curt Schilling and Tim Wakefield.
Some pretty big stars up in Boston, especially since 2004 when they won the World Series up there. So I know there's a lot of excitement about that. Now I want to bring in Andy from Chicago for a second. Andy, I know part of the attraction for you to this project was that you've gone through some personal tragedies yourself related to this. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Well, actually, it had been a number of years. My wife's father was taken by at a very early age with heart disease and Alzheimer's as well for my grandmother and diabetes for my nephew. And we had been kicking around the idea, or I had, about doing something a little larger. We had done a lot of wine tastings, a lot of celebrity, or I should say charity wine tastings, that sort of thing, but looking to do something a little bit bigger, and was kicking around an idea. And actually, it wasn't until, it was really when John, when his father was diagnosed with cancer, that we really decided to really try to move this forward and see what we could do.
All right, and John, pretty good start you guys are off to, I guess, already with this, and partly because you picked the Red Sox, which was, I think, a very smart way to start with this kind of a project based on the immense popularity they have up in Red Sox Nation. 264,000 bottles pre-ordered already?
Yeah, the response was incredible. We had distribution in all 6 New England states, and Andy and I, when we were first throwing numbers around, we really thought we'd probably do 5,000 cases total, so 60,000 bottles, maybe, over the course of the summer. If we got really lucky, maybe a little bit more than that. And the first day, we had all the sales reps out taking orders, and we sold 6,000 cases in the first 3 hours. So we knew that we had something big on our hands, and we had to call the winery and tell them to start working overtime.
Now, Brett, you mentioned how important coming up with the right names was for this, and I love these names. Now, a lot of people who are not baseball fans may not get some of these names, so let's start with the Manny Being Merlot. Manny being Manny is a phrase that everybody up in Boston kind of throws around. For folks who don't know, what does that mean, Manny being Manny?
I think Manny's really just a ball player and plays the game like a kid and the way the game should be played and just has fun and enjoys it and is just a great personality. And every time Manny does something, the fans always say, oh, that's just Manny being Manny.
Sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's not such a good thing. Maybe, you know, being whatever it is on the field, a little bit, you know, Manny-like in the way he plays the game. But that's kind of his own thing, isn't it?
Exactly. So we contacted them initially and said, hey, Manny being Manny is pretty popular. How about Manny being Merlot?
Yeah.
And, you know, the same day he was in spring training wearing a shirt that said Manny being Manny on it.
So, I love it. That's great. Now, Schilling, obviously, you had the alliteration going there with the Schilling Chardonnay.
Right. That it's funny the way that came to be. We had the Manny being Merlot, and it was a little bit more of a clever name, and we wanted the Schilling Chardonnay name to be a little bit more clever as well. So Curt's wife, Shonda, had actually really liked the extra SCH in the Chardonnay spelling, so that's how we came up with the Schilling Chardonnay, help from Curt's wife.
And John, we had a chance to talk to Tim Wakefield up in Boston, which we'll see in a second, but that was the name that I thought was most interesting. I asked him about how they came up with it, and you know, he told me a funny story, which we'll see in a minute. But of course, Tim Wakefield, a knuckleballer, so Caberknuckle. I love it.
Yeah, we originally envisioned him as doing like Sauvignon Blanc or something. We were going to call it the White Knuckler, and so we pitched that out to him, no pun intended. And he came back, and he's a Cabernet drinker, and he said, "I'll do it as long as I can have the Cabernet and it can be Caberknuckle." So who are we to argue with that?
It's brilliant. So Andy, you guys have come up with a little bit of a concept here, charity wines, and are you guys going to replicate this? You've done it in Boston. What's next?
Oh, certainly. We are going to. We plan to continue working with the Major League Baseball players, Red Sox, and expand the program. Judy Heater from the Players Association has been fantastic to work with. So we're looking to expand it just a little bit into some different players, different markets, as well as we have a number of NFL players that have expressed interest, and we're starting to talk to them. Hope they'll be as certainly as accommodating as the Major League Baseball has been. And so definitely the baseball, football, and we have a couple other projects bringing it down to sort of grassroots level, which if you follow the website, the charitywines.com, it's going to be a setup where we can raise money for the smallest little fundraiser, you know, even a backyard sort of fundraiser thing. So yeah, those are sort of the directions we're heading right now.
Awesome. All right, Andy, thank you. Guys, thank you. We're going to take a quick break now. When we come back, we'll talk to one of the faces of the wines, Red Sox pitcher Tim Wakefield, and Dr. Vino drops in to tell us exactly how good these wines really are. So stay with us. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Silver Lining. I'm Rob Simmelcare in New York. Charity Wines and Charity Hop have joined forces with 3 Boston Red Sox players on a project to benefit charities across the country. I had the opportunity to sit down with one of those players, Tim Wakefield, to speak about the project. Here's our conversation. Thanks for being with us, Tim.
Thanks for having me on.
So, Caberknuckle, first of all, of the names, I think that might be my favorite of the 3. Who came up with that?
I did. It just came to me all of a sudden. I think they originally wanted to call Wakefield's White Knuckle wine or something like that. And, I'm a big fan of Cabernets for California wine, so I threw in Caberknuckle, and it stuck, and they loved it.
Leave it to a knuckleball pitcher to come up with something sneaky as a name. That's perfect. Now, how did you first get involved in this charity effort? How were you first approached?
My agent contacted me and said that a company wanted to make some wines, and the proceeds of the wines would go to the charity of my choice in the New England area. And of course, I was thrilled to even be asked to have my name on a bottle of wine. Huge fan of wines. Just to have my own little collection.
Did you ever imagine you'd see your face with that knuckle coming at you from a bottle of wine?
No chance. No chance.
It must be pretty cool.
I mean, I was thrilled that I was asked to be part of this, and I try to stay involved in the community here in Boston and at home in Florida, and a perfect fit for pitching in for kids, the charity that I chose, and hopefully we can sell lots of bottles.
Tell us about that a little bit. Pitching in for Kids. What is that?
It's an organization I got involved with probably 4 or 5 years ago that donates money to kids in need through sporting events, through my golf tournament, through bowling tournament, and they're trying to get other athletes involved. And you know, they've done a great job. I've been involved with them. I've been involved with the Franciscan Hospital for Children and the Jimmy Fund, and I kind of have a say of where the money goes. So they're excited about it, and as well as I am, to try to raise as much money as we can for a lot of people here in the New England area.
What's it mean for you at this point in your career? You've been in a few different cities over the course of your career. Obviously, you've made a real name for yourself here in Boston. What's it mean for you to be able to get involved in the community the way you are?
It means a lot. This is my 13th season in Boston, and the fans have supported me 110% through the good times, through the bad times. And you know, and I started getting involved in the community back in 1998 here, when I realized that I was probably going to get a little bit established here, and I felt like I needed to give something back to the community that supported me for so many years before I got involved. And it's very special. You know, growing up as a kid, I always had a dream of being a Major League Baseball player, not necessarily a knuckleball pitcher, but being in the major leagues. And I know a lot of kids out there have similar dreams, and I think it's our responsibility as athletes to help them live out those dreams.
All right, so between you, Manny, and Curt, any side bet here in terms of whose wine might sell the most? What do you think?
Well, I mean, Curt already told me that his rating was higher than mine, but I don't know.
I don't know. Wines
I don't know who was tasting the wines. I haven't tasted it yet, so I'm sure mine will be better.
I'm sure. Well, we'll check back with you and see what happens.
Absolutely.
Tim Wakefield, thanks a lot for joining us. Good luck this season.
Thank you very much.
All right, a lot of fun talking to Tim Wakefield, and joining us now to tell us about how good these wines actually are is Tyler Coleman, known in the wine industry as Dr. Vino, to help us rate all these wines. Dr. Vino, I never knew you had a doctorate in vino. That must be a tough one to get.
That's right, indeed. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for joining us. So first of all right, the labels are great, the names are great, but we want to know how good these wines actually are. Where do they actually come from?
They actually come from Chile. So these are wines sourced from Chile and imported here to the U.S.
Okay, and I know you came up with a bit of a unique rating system for these, kind of a baseball motif.
That's right, yeah. I decided to rate them on single, double, triple, home run, and there were no home runs, but there weren't any, bunts either. So
that's good too. No
exactly.
strikeouts.
No strikeouts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's start with Manny, who's known for home runs, but you rated his Manny Being Merlot a double,
That's
which
right.
isn't bad. So tell us about that.
Not bad at all in scoring position. So the Merlot, I'm kind of down on Merlot, like sideways. Kind of trash
Everyone's
Merlot.
down on Merlot
Exactly,
now, right?
Exactly. So my expectations were low, but this exceeded my expectations.
All right.
It was a very nice Merlot, great for grilled meats out on the deck after the game, during the game.
The lone white wine in the group is the Schilling Chardonnay, which you gave a triple. So you like that one the most of the
That's
three.
right,
Why?
yeah. I thought this was the best wine because, again, Chardonnay, a fairly conventional choice in terms of grape variety, but this wine is different because it's unoaked. It's an unoaked Chardonnay.
What does that mean exactly?
Well, a lot of Chardonnay is aged in oak barrels.
Okay.
And so this one allows the natural fruit to show through. And so I really like that characteristic, and I found it a great summer wine, perfect for baseball season and anything dining outdoors.
A little shrimp on the Barbie.
Exactly.
Sounds
Perfect.
good to me.
That's right.
And last but not least, the Caberknuckle.
Caberknuckle, exactly.
Now, knuckleballs, they dance around. You never know what you're going to get. Is this a little bit more consistent?
That's right. No, it is more consistent. Yeah, it's a nice Cabernet. It's not too tannic. A lot of people new to wine don't like the tannins of red wine, but this one has actually really soft tannins, makes it very approachable. And so, yeah, definitely earned the double there.
All right, so you got a guess here in terms of which one of these guys might actually sell the most bottles. I asked Tim Wakefield, and he said Schilling, of course, who got the triple in your ratings, was already sure he was going to sell the most. What do you think?
Well, it could be. Based on quality, I think the Chardonnay should be the winner, but red wine...
Plus, it's summertime.
That's right, yeah. Red wine's very popular, though. Health benefits of red wine.
Do red wines or white wines in general, which sells more?
Red wine is more popular right now, actually because of the health benefits of red wine.
Yeah,
and so ever since 1991, when the news was first released, you saw a crossover, and Americans prefer red wine now.
Very
so.
interesting. All
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
That's a good little tidbit.
Yeah.
Dr. Vino, thanks
That's
a lot
right.
for joining us.
Excellent.
I'm looking forward to putting your ratings to the test.
Excellent.
Personally.
All right. Thanks, Rob.
And for more information on all of these wines and on Charity Hop, you can log on to www.charitywines.com. I'm Rob Simmelcare in New York. Thanks for watching.